Namaste, namaste. You probably heard or use that expression very often. Namaste, beautiful greeting, often used in many Eastern faith traditions, and indeed by people of no faith, meaning I see the divine in you. And I was actually reflecting on this whole concept of namaste, seeing the divine in another person, following a sermon, I guess you'd call it, or she doesn't call them sermons, but the local minister of my church the other day was talking on this subject of when we spend time gazing into the eyes of another, we actually, after a period of time, seem to really connect as one with them. This is where you can really hold your eye contact and you're actually very intently, totally focused on connection. And it struck me that this is an experience very much like one of being in love. Well, indeed, it is an expression of love when you come into that state of oneness, but also one of transcendence. And so perhaps one that people who are in a partnership will know well. Hopefully, at least they've experienced it in their courting, and hopefully for many years beyond if they come together, as it were. This idea of merging, and in this state, we go beyond thinking about our bodies, our physicality, our physical appearance. That ceases to be relevant. We are connected with our essence, with our true nature, at a deeper level. And it brings home to me this question about what our appearance is all about. Well, I've said quite a lot about that on this channel in Odd Reflections, the masks we wear, the way we like to present ourselves in terms of being accepted or marking ourselves out in some way in the world, being perhaps very significant. And indeed, part of that for most of us is conforming with what society, our own particular cultural society, generally assumes is appropriate for our gender. Those of us who are a little bit more radical, perhaps taking some risks sometimes, because it can, of course, invite scorn and ridicule, do like to bend those rules. But there's another aspect of this which came through this reflection in the talk, that when we look into the eyes of another, if we do, even just for a briefest moment, start to pass a judgment on the person we are connecting with based on some aspect of how they appear, whether they look old, for example, the color of their skin, their ethnicity, whether they have piercings, whatever it is, we might make a judgment and allow that to kind of affect the way we are relating to them. Now, the judgment, of course, may be positive or it may be very fleeting, but I suspect it's quite a bit more subtle than most of us realize, that probably we do have a bias that in some way affects our relationship with another person beyond this connection at the level of the essence, the level beyond being in a body. So in other words, most of us, I assume, do make a judgment based on appearance, based on presentation. Where am I going with this? I think it's just another reflection around the curiosity for me of the value on the one hand and the importance of being able to present and express myself as I want, and allowing that to bring things out for me, to actually allow feelings to arise and so on, to allow the feminine particularly to express herself. But at the same time, the ultimate goal that I have as someone on a spiritual journey, as it were, is to transcend all judgments around appearance, and that must ultimately apply to how I present myself as well. So it's a curious one. I don't know what quite what the answer is. It's just opened a question for me. I thought I'd open it up here as a follow-on reflection, really, to this whole question of the thought experiment of not being in a body.